Looking for a new church? Here's how you do it. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Welcome to You Asked For It, where you send us questions and we answer them to the best of our ability and give our opinions. Mm-hmm. This one is interesting.
This one is about McPherson guitars.
Yes, it is.
Again. Sporting the shirts.
Oh, you both got the same shirt on.
Yeah. We both got shirts.
We both got
Wow,
shirts.
I didn't get the email.
Well, when you went to McPherson 10 years ago, they were handing out free guitars. When I went,
Nobody told me that.
they were handing out free t-shirts.
Okay.
That was just a personal dig at you.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, they offered me a guitar, but I don't play.
Oh
Keep
boy.
it.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, hey, this is not the topic for today, but I just want to say thanks to McPherson Guitars and Justin for giving us the tour. We went last week, and we really, really appreciated the chance to just hang out and see how the guitars are made, and
got to play a couple of them.
And if you ever want to sponsor an artist that's known by no one,
Here's your chance.
here's your chance. I have a YouTube channel.
Wait.
Besides
so do
this
I.
one,
If
so do
you're
I.
on that,
I do guitar tutorials. I could show off the McPherson in my guitar tutorials.
I have a recording studio one, so I mean, there's a couple of good options for you. That's all I'm saying.
if you want to send me to Geezer Ridge for a moose hunt, I will use a Matthews guitar if you pay for it.
What are you gonna like bludgeon the animal to death with a guitar?
No, around the campfire. I will use a guitar.
Matthews is the bow.
Yeah,
McPherson is
Oh,
the guitar.
McPherson's the guitar.
Okay, so don't send him anything.
Fine.
He
He
doesn't
can't
even know
even
what
keep
he's
your
talking
company
about.
straight.
Fine.
Jeez.
I do love the bows, though. I really do. They're so smooth and quick and quiet. So I'm shooting a Matthews, and my one son is shooting a Hoyt. And
I don't know what that is.
the Matthews is so much quieter. That's what I've noticed. But the Hoyt is just loud. It goes off, it's loud. I think it's just as fast and stuff, but it's not as smooth and it's much louder.
So it's kind of like saying you're playing a McPherson and I'm playing an Ibanez, and
Yeah.
it's kind of that comparison is what I'm assuming.
They both play G
They
chords.
both play the same chords. It's just
Interesting.
One is smoother.
Well, we know no sponsorships are coming from Hoyt now.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know what.
Or Ibanez for that matter, I guess.
That's okay. I don't care about Ibanez.
Yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely
Okay,
fine.
anyway, that's not the topic for
So,
today.
the topic for today is when you are looking for a church to call your own, to call your church home, what should you look for?
Okay, I want to start first. We got that first.
Yep.
Why would I be looking for a church?
Well, what if you don't have a church?
Personally,
What if you don't have a church and you're looking for a church?
I think I personally just want to address this first.
Okay.
If you're in a church right now, don't leave it. Okay? Don't leave it. There's only a couple of good reasons to leave a church. Number one, if you're moving. If you're moving too far from church, go to church as close to your community as you can. Okay? Number one. And if the church you're going to now is not on task for either the gospel or the mission, if they sidetrack on other things, if the main thing of that church starts to change into humanitarian efforts or different things, then maybe it's time to leave that church. If it's doctrinally not correct on the main points of Christianity, maybe it's time to leave that church. But just because somebody didn't appreciate you or you don't agree with something is not a good reason to leave that church. I just want to throw that in there. Too much church leaving going on in our culture.
What if the music's too loud?
well, obviously
earplugs.
that's a doctrinal problem.
Right.
Put in earplugs.
Okay, so let's assume people are looking for a church.
They just moved out of town.
How do we
move into a new community? You're looking for a church.
Yeah, what's the best advice for how to pick a good one?
What are you looking for when looking for a church? Number one, are you a Christian that has a relationship with God and you're about what God is doing? Would be a very good question to ask yourself. If you come from a liturgical church that you're used to as a kid and that's what you're looking for, that's probably where you're going to go. But I think there's a huge difference in if you're an evangelical or not, I think is really something very important to ask. But if you are an evangelical and you're going for a church, I know what most of us look for. Most of us would look for a church that we're comfortable in. Most of us would look for a church. First thing we're going to notice is the music style. Is that the kind of music I listen to, or is that the kind of music I like? All about me. Is it I like? Most of us are attracted to the music we like. Most of us are attracted to type of preaching that we like. Oh, I like it when they open the Bible and they read line by line, and I like it when they really, tell me all the history and all that stuff. I like that, therefore that's what I'm going to do. Or they have the things that the sewing club or the coffee club or the men's breakfast or the activities I like to go to. That's what most of us will. But we are here to challenge that because I don't believe that's what God would want us to do. I really don't. I think what God would want us to do in looking for a church is look for the church that has a music style, not that I like, but a music style that's working for the current culture around it.
So if I move down to Minneapolis, country music is probably not the most effective form of music.
Probably not. Depending on where that church is located, I would agree. If it's downtown Minneapolis, and who are the people that church is deliberately, specifically trying to target, if that music doesn't match the target audience.
The same style as what's on their radios.
Yes, the same style. Now the words, obviously, you want music in church that has something to do with God. But I would say that's a huge flaw we make. We should, when we're looking for a church, we should say, what music style is going to most accurately or most adequately cater to the people we're trying to draw in this area.
So which type of music would be the most effective?
Yep, the most effective. Not what I like.
Right.
But if this is the area I live in, then it all comes down to this. Every question we're going to answer comes down to this. Because it's got to be about the mission and not about me. The mission is more important than me.
This is specifically, though, you would give that advice to somebody who's already a Christian.
That's what I say, already an evangelical. That's why I kind of started with
if you're
where are you
not,
coming
though,
from?
If you're not if maybe somebody's inviting you or your parents go or something, if you're not a Christian, then go wherever fits you best.
Well, of course. And I would think that would be up to the church to do that, or the people inviting you, is to say, hey, come to this church because I think you're going to like it. So the people we want to like it are the people that aren't
there yet.
It's
or who are newer.
Yeah. So any church should be trying to draw the people that aren't Christians or that aren't churchgoers in their sphere of influence or sphere of draw. So they need to use everything that would cater to that or make that as easy as possible. So if you live in that area, the church you're looking for should be the church that is trying deliberately and intentionally reaching the people who don't go to church in that area, and not about what you like. Just makes total sense to me.
But where I shop and what movies I go to and what restaurants I go to and where I want to buy it, all of that is completely different.
Yeah,
that's always all about
me. Church isn't all about me.
Yeah.
That is revolutionary. And if you're watching this, I think even to make that kind of switch, that paradigm shift of what is church about? If I'm already a Christian, church is about reaching others. If I'm not a Christian, church is about drawing me. So it's just that simple.
Yep.
So you've been a Christian for years. Well, I want to go to a church where on Sunday morning they decipher all the details about King Hezekiah in the Old Testament because that draws me. But is that what you should be looking for? Or should you be looking for a church who talks in a language that is understandable by the people in their surroundings? I mean, this just seems common sense to me, but why we as Christians look for what I like. It's not about what I like. It's about what works to reach the people who don't know God.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. that a lot of times people, I've heard this for many years now, oh, it's not deep enough. It's not deep enough. You're thinking of a Bible study, not a church.
I always challenge people on, which came from you, but do you mean deep or do you mean detail?
Right.
Because there's a difference. Detail is what's the original Hebrew word or Aramaic word, or how long did King Hezekiah reign, or how many miles is it from this town to like that's detail, but that ain't even close to deep.
Right.
That is so surface level, just information that really does very little to transform our hearts, for us to experience more of God, for us to, all that sort of stuff. Deep is Jesus coming to earth to pay the penalty for our sins. Deep is learning how to love one another because that's how God loved us. Deep is learning how to have unity even when you have disagreement. Like that's deep. So
deep is drawing people into a growing relationship with God through Jesus Christ.
The deepest things of God are life-changing. Angelology is a big one. Let's study angelology.
Did you make that word up?
No.
I've never heard that word before.
What is that?
I mean, I can guess what it is, but it sounds made up.
Yeah. No, it's not made up.
Angelology.
Yeah, and I think some people would be drawn to that kind of, I'm learning so much. For what end? That's just purely information. Like, that's interesting. That nothing about angelology will draw closer to God, connects with God, make us useful. I mean, it's just, all it is just like, wow, that's interesting. I don't think it's deep whatsoever. Matter of fact, there's nothing deep to it.
Or like, how big is an actual cubit? Or did God actually create the world in 7 days? That kind of stuff.
Does that change anything except maybe your ability to persuade or have conversation with somebody who just believes in creation and not, or just evolution and not creation? Maybe, but it's certainly not going to draw your, I don't know. Some people might be more interested in one thing or another, but I wouldn't call any of that stuff deep. You just said it. The deepest thing, wrap your head around this, that God so loved the world that he sent his one and only son, that whoever would believe in him would not perish but have eternal life, that Jesus Christ became our sin so that we could be right in God's sight. Like, whoa. Now that is so deep. Our mind will never comprehend the magnitude of what that is.
Yep.
We're off topic.
Kinda, not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so when looking for a church, don't, if you are already a Christian, you're already evangelical Christian, don't go for, that's the style of music I like, that's the kind of atmosphere I like.
Don't look for me, look for the mission.
Right.
I love this. You and I have mentioned this to several people, and Dave, I'm sure you have too, that when you're looking for a church, look for one that you would not be embarrassed to invite everybody you know.
Yeah.
No matter who they are, how far from God they are, that you would not be embarrassed to invite them there on a Sunday morning. Now, what happens the rest of the week, all this stuff is different.
There can be the sewing clubs and the studying Hezekiah and all that sort of stuff.
But the Sunday morning open door into God's thing, a Sunday morning service, I would choose a church that I would not be embarrassed. I would actually be anxious to invite anyone I know, from doctor, attorney, professional, to somebody who still thinks they're in high school partying every Friday and doesn't know God. I mean, everybody in between. And I think there are churches like that. I think there are churches that strive to do that. And that's the kind of church I would look for if I was looking for a church.
Yeah. There's been plenty of churches. I remember when we were new to the faith, we kept getting pushed by a couple of people. Shout out to Chad and my grandma. That you need to go to church. You need to go to church. You got to go to church. You need to go to church. Okay. So we started looking at churches, and you go to some of these churches and it was like, they're talking over here, talking right over your head. I had no idea. They were standing up and sitting down, and I had no idea. I wasn't in the club. So I had no idea what was going on. So I didn't feel like it was welcoming or open.
It reminds me of a joke. I heard Jason Strand tell it years ago. He's the lead pastor at Eaglebrook now, but he talks about his first experience in church, and they were singing a song, and everybody's got their hands up. You remember? Everybody's and he's standing around looking, and they were singing, "I Could Sing of Your Love Forever" was the song. And the whole chorus is just that 4 times. And as he's standing there watching everybody, he said, it's not my story, so it's better from him, but he goes, "I just thought they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Today's going to be the day. They're going to do it."
That's great.
That's funny.
I could sing of your love forever. They mean it. Yeah. They're gonna.
They're very serious.
I think if you are
sing the chorus 8 times in a row, because that means you love God more.
We are church leaders who are involved in in putting on church and leading church. And if you are at all, I would ask you to question this for yourself, and that is every time you're tempted to say, "Well, we do this here because people love it." I hear it all the time.
Which people?
What people love it?
Yeah.
The people that have been going there for 20 years or the people you're trying to reach? Because that usually, not always, that usually is a huge difference. And we at this church don't do a greeting time for that reason. Do you remember when we asked that question,
Yeah.
And I remember I was on a kick, and asking all the pastor friends I know, why do you do a greeting time at your church? Oh, people love it. What people love it?
New people don't like that. That's uncomfortable. I'm in a room of strangers. Now I got to shake hands.
One pastor actually told me, we do it so that we can show our visitors how much we care. Like, have you looked and seen how uncomfortable your visitors are while you're doing this?
They're the ones standing there all alone watching the rest of you guys.
They are the ones wishing they could hide in the back till this is over. And you're doing it for them? Rethink it,
Yep.
Oh, well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, it sounds like that wraps that up. On that note, I was going to go into the sloppy wet kiss part, but no, we're going to dodge that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll skip that part. But feel free to, if you have questions for us, feel free to put them in the comments section. Email it to us, accesschurch.org, right? Is that the hub? You can reach us on the hub. You can email us here at the
contact at accesschurchonline.org.
Yeah. Or you can, the easiest way is just to put a comment down on this video. And that's the easiest way to go. So feel free to hit the like button, and we'll see you next week.